10th meeting of the Nantucket School Committee. Can I have an approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. We will open for public comment. If there's anyone here from the public with a comment on anything that's not on the agenda. Not seeing anyone, we'll go ahead and close public comment and move to the superintendent's update.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. We'll start with student enrollment for February. You'll notice in your packet that you have the student enrollment for the month. Our enrollment has decreased this month by 5 students from 1,659 in January to 1,654 this month. So NES has seen no change, same number of students. NIS has gained 2 students. CPS has lost 2 students, and NHS High School has lost 5 students. So as usual, we watch carefully. February is a difficult month. It is a time when there is travel going on, and so we do expect to see some of our enrollment go up after February. Transportation, I have some of the same areas that I'm reporting on this month because there have been some changes. I did share that last meeting that we now have a 7D vehicle that is being used to transport students to and from school from the Nantucket neighborhood in the morning, and then used to drop off special education students in the afternoon. While this helps out tremendously, we are still struggling to provide adequate transportation coverage for our students with special needs who often have transportation included into their IEPs. We are trying to work on a second bus run, a second special education bus run for our either our 7D vehicle or the actual special education bus to get the 4 additional special needs students to school. But this presents other difficulties because students are most likely dropped off or picked up at schools earlier or later than teacher contracted start times. And this creates a problem for student supervision. Thank you. Okay. Everybody hear me okay? We are trying to do everything we can, reviewing any and all pathways forwards, but this is incredibly difficult as the expectations are quite stringent around student transportation. Cape Cod Collaborative continues to advertise through local papers, social media, but we need to find we really need to find additional drivers. So I will work with them to expand advertising to radio stations and to the overall school community. And if anyone knows someone who might be interested, including current employees such as teaching assistants or custodians, the pay is very good. I believe it's $33 an hour for a 7D vehicle. And the requirements to secure a 7D license are not nearly as stringent and difficult as for a large school bus. So please spread the word as best you can. We're doing everything we can. Cape Cod Collaborative has its hands tied, but they are working very hard. And I want to do a shout out to the drivers because they have been working really hard to make things work, and I appreciate all of their efforts. As I mentioned in the last, at our last meeting in January, testing season is upon us. And access testing was our first test of the new year. It is winding down. This is the test for English learners, English learner proficiency. We've got 2 more weeks available in the testing window for all schools to complete testing. I know that some of our schools have already finished or are very close to finishing. So I want to thank Barbara Cohen, the director of our English Learner Education Program, for her guidance and organization in working through access testing with ESL teachers and principals and other administration of each building. And I also want to congratulate, most importantly, our English learners who have been working very hard to show their progress and an achievement in English language proficiency. The high school also completed the February biology MCAS exam, and we'll be gearing up for MCAS ELA in March, which is just around the corner. NES, NIS, and CPS are also closing out their winter MAP testing in ELA and math. And we are very happy to report that preliminary results are showing positive trends in both achievement and growth. And this is great news. We will provide a more in-depth look at that data that map data in March, at our next March meeting. And that's all I have for now. Oh, one more thing, if I may. Miss Lewis, Danielle Lewis, is not here today because she has been accepted as a finalist, Miss.
She qualified for the state.
Qualified for the state competition for poetry out loud, and so to celebrate, she is enjoying the evening with her family. So, and that's it.
Do you have any questions for Dr. Hallett? Awesome. Alrighty. So we will move into our presentations, beginning with the Yonder Initiative, NHS and CPS principals.
Yeah, just the down arrow.
Just the down arrow? I'm not that tall. Good evening. Mandy Howland, principal at Nantucket High School.
Michael Hortman, principal of Cyrus Pierce Middle School.
And we're happy to share with you our implementation of the using the Yonder pouches for our cell phones this year. We'll start with just the actual implementation. And I'm speaking for both of us because we kind of did this in tandem. I think the high school may have rolled it out about a week earlier than the middle school, but all students received Yonder pouches. We should have brought one with us tonight, huh? Show it. So all students received the Yonder pouches. They're numbered so that we know who the students, what pouch they have. All teachers reviewed the policy with students during their advisory or homeroom block, and then administration discussed it with all the students during class meetings. Students were given a grace period for the first week or week and a half to get used to using it. Students, when they enter the building, the pouches lock. It's a magnetic lock, so when they enter the building, they can unlock it. We recommend that they lock it at night after they take their phone out when they leave the school. There's a very small pin that holds the locking mechanism together. It is easy to break, which is why we recommend that they lock it at night. And then when they enter the building, they are able to access the magnets to unlock it. They go to advisory, they put the phone in during the advisory block. The teachers check to make sure that they have turned it off and put it away. I just said that. The pouches stay in the student's possession throughout the day. They are supposed to keep that pouch in their backpack or tote or whatever they have, but they keep it in their own personal possession. At the end of the day, they unlock it so that they can take their phones out, and we had a great start at the beginning of the school year, and as with many policies, there was, everyone got a little bit lax. So at the beginning of the second semester, when we came back in January, we had meetings and reinforced the policy and talked with students about what they needed to do. So some of the successes that we have seen is there's been less issue with the phone in the classroom this year, more focus from students, less phone issues in the bathrooms, more student engagement, students talking to each other more in the cafeteria, and not on this list, but I will also add, when there's been maybe some type of a situation in the hallway, we're not seeing that recording with the telephones like we've seen in the past. Challenges are the daily check-in during the advisory or homeroom block, follow-up for students not using the pouches. We're seeing an increased use of AirPods, and students forget the pouch at home or they become damaged.
Similar at the middle school, less access to social media during the day. Students are definitely interacting more with each other socially in person. And then, as I reported in the past, our biggest problem in middle school was students leaving class to go to the bathroom to try to sneak, to use their phone. So the Yonder pouches greatly reduced that. So a lot fewer bathroom trips. You can notice our hallways are much more empty during the school day. And then teachers have definitely reported that student focus has improved and students are participating more in person. Before we do questions, do you want me to go first? You go?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have all the survey data there. It's pretty standard. There's a lot of kind of bell curve typical responses, as you might expect from parents, from staff, of what's working. The bottom line is that the implementation of the Yonder pouch system has definitely had a positive impact. But as Mrs. Hylam mentioned, it's only as good as the enforcement. So just like the shoe caddies in the past, if we're not enforcing it each day, if teachers are not checking each morning, it did start to drift off, where we noticed, probably right before the holiday break in December, a lot fewer students unlocking their pouch at the end of the day, which led us to believe there's probably a lot fewer students locking their pouch at the beginning of the day. So we kind of did a reminder to staff. We've cracked down on that. Students, when they're caught with their phone and they didn't put it in the pouch, it enables us to go up a notch in the enforcement and the consequences, where we then confiscate the phone and we check it in the front office. So last year, if we typically had 2 or 3 phones in the front office with Renee Manning and Kristen Holgate each day, this year we probably had 20 to 30. We then found just recently a lot of teachers were doing a nice thing for students who didn't want to deal with their pouches, and they would hold the student phones for the day. And as you can imagine, no good deed goes unpunished. We just can't do that. These phones are approaching $1,500, $1,600, and one of the points here is that the students retain possession of the device, which greatly reduces the liability of the school and any teacher of holding a handful of phones for the day. So we just had a recent kind of crackdown to stop doing that and put it back on the students to unlock their pouch in the morning, secure their pouch in homeroom, and then unlock it at the end of the day. So I want to read a couple of the comments here from our students. What positive changes, if any, have you noticed since the launch of Yonder pouches at CPS? A bunch of IDKs, I don't know. 1 or 2, I want my phone back. Stop using the pouches. It doesn't change anything. I can't think of any. And then it starts to morph into a bunch of positives. People are kind. It's easier to focus. No more cheating. At least no more cheating with phones, okay? Trust us and give us our phones back. Improved grades. The grades have definitely improved. Several students have noticed that their grades have gone up a few points. Quieter, and then these are significant. Less cyberbullying, and no pictures of people in the bathroom, which is a very middle school thing. So those are really nice to hear from our 100, how many students responded to the survey? 186 students responded to the survey, so that was great.
So I'll also add some of our student comments. Mine's not digital, sorry. We had 233 students respond out of the 551 students that we had at the time. I find it interesting that one of the most frequent comments was more focus in class. Teachers said that, and parents also said that. Some, of course, said there was no benefit to this. The only benefit is noticing less phones. More socializing between students, which we see a lot more of that in the cafeteria because they're not allowed to have phones there either. Students are not using their phones for non-educational purposes, and classes are more engaging and higher participation rate. The one thing I wanted to share from the parent survey, that some of the students said the same thing, is like, what was a concern? And it came up a few times that they're not able to contact their student, or the students aren't able to contact their parents. So what we did at the high school, we actually had a phone added in the high school office, so that students can come and use a phone in the office to make phone calls if they need to. And we encourage parents to call the front office if they need to get messages to students. So, I mean, I agree with Mr. Horton. I think that what we've seen has been a positive impact. I'm not 100% sure that our students are using the pouches as they should be using, but we are seeing less phones, which is, you know, the intent. We'd like to see them making sure that they're using the pouch. We encourage that. We, you know, remind them, but at least we're seeing the phones less often in the building.
Thank you. Any questions, Esmeralda?
No questions.
Dr. Leffrey?
No, I think it's, responses are interesting.
Very much so, yes.
I have a question. Y'all, you mentioned that, damage to the pouches has been an issue?
There has been some damage, yes, and so we we figured out like the cost per pouch. So we have sent notices to some parents that it's a $30 replacement fee. We made sure that students know this as well. There have been a couple that have been broken that have been forgiven because the pin that activates the locking mechanism, it is easily broken. And so, you know, sometimes it's just an accident. You can't prove that for every single student. And when you see some of the pouches, it's like, yeah, you definitely did something.
Yeah.
We have taken a couple where students have tried to cut them open to get the phone out because, because they didn't want to wait to unlock it. So we can tell that, that was damaged on purpose.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you both.
Okay. I just wanted to thank the two of you for implementing this program. I mean, we talked a lot about it.
Mhm.
I feel that for a first-year implementation, it's definitely good, and I agree with all of you that it's as good as we can make it. So
Right.
as we continue to utilize the under pouches and get used to this, we will see hopefully more an easier implementation in years to come, so that our teachers get used to it. We are able to get students more used to it. There's not going to be a chance for them to use phones going forward. So.
Well, we just had the update briefing with the company, and they did make a couple of really good suggestions that we will be implementing as well. All right, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you both. Alrighty, we're moving to the next presentation, Nantucket High School Program of Study Highlights. Come on back. Nice
See you
try.
again. I'm gonna use mine, I'll let somebody else get it back up there for you like it's supposed to be. I can't, this one's too touch sensitive. I think I went down too far. There we go. You can't really see the whole thing that well. So I'll just give a quick overview on how we go about doing the program of study updates and revisions. We start actually in November, asking our department leaders to start taking a look at their section in the program of study with their departments, taking a look at the courses that are being offered. We also take a look at undersubscribed courses and maybe classes that are oversubscribed, because that's going to have a lot to do with what courses will be continue in the program of study, or what do we need to, what we call gray out. We don't take classes out of the program of study. We gray them out, meaning that they won't be offered for the next school year. We also ask the department leaders with their departments and the teachers in their departments to take a look at the description of courses this year, because we felt like that some of them are pretty lengthy, and we have gotten feedback not enough students are really focusing on those descriptions, so we felt like if we update that a little bit, that maybe students would utilize the program study more often. So for the changes for this year, the English department took on quite a bit, and they have revamped some of the courses that they're offering as in making changes in the course. We're also going to be offering digital literacy and an AI studio next year. So we'll see how that goes. The math department is offering an honors algebra 1 that we haven't had for a couple of years. So we're interested in seeing how that's going to work out for our students. And then the science department, one of the things that we talked quite a bit about is we want because we're working on the applied learning, and that's a school-wide initiative, we want in the science department for them to be doing more lab work. So one of the things that came up in our discussions is that students really need more time to do labs. So we're offering an honors laboratory techniques course that students will be able to take if they're taking an honors level science class, even an AP level class, and then that will help them be able to do more lab work. We'll see how that's going to work out. I can see the questions on your face on how's that going to work. We're a work in progress. So I'll report back, okay? The social studies department is making a change where they're going to be doing U.S. History 1, a college prep level and an honors level. And where's Melissa? You might have to help me out here just a little bit. We're retiring World History 1, and what the social studies department is trying to do is align better with what the 8th grade is, so that the progression of the course is more natural. So they'll do U.S. History 1, and then they'll do World History 1 sophomore year, and then they do U.S. History 2 junior year. So it's really just a realignment on how the courses are being offered. In the World Language Department, they are adding or transitioning the Spanish for Spanish speakers to a Spanish literature and writing course. One second, please. And then in the art department, they're making a few changes where I'm actually really afraid to touch this. See, that's what I was afraid of. Sorry. In the art department, they are changing their intro to studio art to exploring studio art. And the photo 3-4 course is going to be going to an advanced digital photo course, and then a ceramics. So right now we offer ceramics 2-3. It's usually combined. It will be an advanced ceramics course. And that's pretty much what we have for changes. So not like huge changes, mostly just trying to modernize what we're doing a little bit so that it's more appealing to students, and they have a better idea of what they're doing in the courses whenever they look at the program study. And our so course selection for next year begins next week. We're going to be having our grade 8 parent night next Wednesday, and then the guidance counselors with CPS and high school counselors will meet with the grade 8 students. They'll learn more about what they can expect for 9th grade. They'll start working on their recommendations and then or their course selections for next year, and then we start with the junior class, rising seniors, and they learn about what they need to do and so on until we've met with all 4 grades. And that's the process.
Thank you. Questions, Esmeralda?
No questions.
Dr. Lepre?
When are you going to flesh out laboratory techniques?
So, in all honesty, it will be based on the numbers that we have. So once we know what the numbers are, so let's say we have 12 students, that's one section. If we have 30 students, that might be 3 sections. So it's going to be very dependent on how many students sign up for the course, and then we'll determine how many sections we need. That's going to have a huge bearing on how many teachers are going to need to teach that course. Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm interested in what the techniques are going to be.
As I am well. Me too. And I'll have Mr. Gregorich let you know, because Mr. Gregorich is taking kind of a lead on this.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good, because I don't think that the way that our schedule is now, the science classes, although they do labs, they don't have the amount of time to fully encompass a lab like they need to. with, you know, with the setup, the implementation, and then the cleanup. So depending on what the lab is, they might not always have the time to get it done. I know what the AP teachers do is they have their AP students come in, say 7:15 in the morning, so that, you know, especially if that class is the first block of the day, so now they've added an extra 45 minutes to the class, and that's how they are able to get some of that work in now at the AP level.
If I may, just to continue that conversation and as to why our students need more lab time, our classrooms, we don't have lab classrooms at the high school.
We have-
There are only two,
We
I
have
believe.
two, yep, two.
Yes, so however, it would be great to have more, it's just that,
Absolutely.
that creates an entire capital project of
So-
building classrooms.
And to Dr. Hallett's point, we have two chemistry teachers, but we have one chemistry lab. So if both chemistry teachers need to use the lab, they have to coordinate their time in order to set that up. Then that means one teacher has to, you know, teachers have to shift to different classrooms, and they have to have time to do the setup and then the cleanup. So it's huge, and we could definitely use a second chemistry lab. Because pretty much all sophomores take the chemistry course.
In
But when
years
we have
past-
more information, we'll make sure you get it as well.
In years past, there have been courses without any labs.
Yes, and that's not a good, that's not really the best way to teach science. It needs to be hands-on because they have to learn how to apply those concepts that they're learning. We're on the same page, for sure.
Well, thank you. I think I love seeing all these courses and the changes you're making, 'cause it's relevant for the time, so I think the students will benefit greatly from it.
I have one more question. The Spanish, lit and writing, is that going to be for Spanish speakers only, or is that going to be for any student who has the,
I think the
Ability.
idea right now is that it's gonna take the place of the Spanish for Spanish speakers. Ms. Barber here?
So the Spanish for Spanish speakers has been a tough class this year, and they decided to shift to Spanish literature and writing, which could include both.
okay,
Spanish
so it would be
and,
both,
and English speakers.
thank you.
But then they added the Spanish for the
Workplace.
workplace to appeal to the Spanish speakers.
Okay,
But they're moving away from Italian versus Spanish for Spanish speakers.
okay, thank you.
I'm gonna take the one for Spanish for the
Workplace.
workplace. That's the one I'm gonna take.
Sounds like a rebrand of the course. Okay.
That's exactly what it is. But I think they'll also, so we also just looked at, they have some new curriculum, correct? And some new resources, so they're looking at incorporating that as well.
Thank you. Any more questions, comments? Awesome. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
No problem. Alrighty, we're going into budget development. Martin.
Good evening. Hi. This is so. I'm just going to do a quick introduction, and then we're going to go into two presentations, one by the community school and one for the overall school budget. You have received in your packets all the individual budgets for the schools, as well as the special education, English language learners, and the community school budgets. So this year we're not asking for any increases. We have not yet completed the budget negotiations with town. As you know, we have the open budget hearing, and then we have to go in front of the finance committee of the town to present our budgets, but there is some still outstanding requests. So there is still an ongoing negotiation. So, but this is what we have as of today, and with that, I'm gonna refer to the presenters, which Alicia Garcia Day will present the community school budget.
Thank you.
But are the arrows better?
Yeah, I think the arrows are better.
Great, thanks, Martha. Maybe the next one's better. Thank you. I'm Alicia Graziade, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nantucket Community School. So tonight, I'm presenting to you our FY27 budget. We had originally asked for a $750,000 appropriation from the town. Unfortunately, we were level funded at $600,000, so this is what we've created for you as a balanced budget with the known variables at this time. A couple of things I just want to point out to you. This budget does not include any increases for staff and personnel that had to be eliminated to create this balanced budget for this evening. I would also like to point out to you that some of our staff are some of the lowest paid employees in both the town and the school system. We also had to add a $52,511 need for a grant, which is still undetermined at this time. We already make a lot of grant asks through the town and through a lot of the nonprofits on the island. We currently receive over $160,000 in this way. And some of this money that we are projecting the need for would have to most likely come from an ask that we're already making. So we're going to be losing money in another area to be determined. As far as program revenue, we have been consistently increasing our program costs over the last few years that I've been in this role. And we are increasing our revenues overall. That being said, there's a ceiling to raising costs, and I think that we've reached it for many of our programs. We do often receive feedback that our programs have become too expensive, and we are canceling programs that do not meet our enrollment requirements for that reason. There are, again, some variables that we're not sure of at this moment. So one would be our utilities will be increasing at 56 Center Street, which is one of our 3 campus locations that we rent from Romania and Nantucket. Health insurance is projected to increase by 9%, and our health insurance is taken directly out of our appropriation. So without an increase in appropriation, we are taking on that additional cost next year. We also do not know at this time how many of our employees will be taking that benefit. So currently, we have 11 staff members that are receiving health insurance. We have 5 full-time employees that are not taking it. So if that number were to increase, that also would increase our health insurance. As I mentioned, grant funding, we are currently in the middle of, I would call it a grant cycle. So there's a few grants that we're currently writing right now. We will not know what we'll be receiving probably until June or July for many of those grants. And then as I mentioned earlier, the appropriation, or as Martin mentioned, is still up in the air a bit. So we don't have a solid understanding, but we decided to go with the $600,000 for tonight. Are there any questions?
Esmeralda? No at the moment. Dr. Lepre?
So you feel that you're hitting the point where people give up on the community school?
Are you referring to the cost of
The
programs?
cost, yeah.
It depends on the department, but I would say that it's difficult when we increase prices and we receive pushback, but then we're also not receiving more money from the town to allow us to keep prices where they're at. So we're between a rock and a hard place right now.
No, I think you do a tremendous job, and I would think it would be an easy sell, but apparently it isn't. But could find out who it is and keep them out of the pool.
I have a question. There's mention that state and federal grants aren't permitted to be combined in revolvers. If they were, how would that affect your budget?
So we do receive money from the state, we can't, do you want to comment on this?
Yeah.
We can't include it in the revolvers that you see.
Sorry.
That's okay.
State and federal funds by law have to be accounted for separately. So we have
Okay.
2 separate funds where we record state and federal for the school and for the community school. For the community school, we have the one grant that we received for early childhood education.
Gotcha.
So it is recorded there, and that's how it has to be by law. What we mean by not combining is the revolvers are the revolving accounts where we record donations and programming revenues, and the general fund appropriation. is apportioned for the revolvers, but the state grant is separate from that, so
Okay.
that's.
Oh,
obvious.
okay,
There is
gotcha. So it's just in a
separation
separate
of
account.
funds, yes.
Gotcha.
It's an
Okay.
accounting technicality.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, and I
Makes
can
sense.
just
Thank you.
add that most of our state funding goes directly to our early childhood programming, and that's why the majority of that programming is free, because it is part of receiving that funding that the program has to be free.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't cover the cost of all the programming.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
if I may, that is also not a revenue building program,
Mhm.
because you're not, that's not where the money is made, so to speak. The early childhood programs, am I correct in saying so, other than
That
extended
is
day?
correct, and that's why we write grants for the majority of our early childhood
Yeah.
programming. And that's why coming up with an additional 50,000 just to cover our baseline cost next year will affect some programming in some way, because we are not gonna be able to write those grants anymore for other things. One that I can definitively say this evening is that we will most likely not be writing a grant for financial assistance anymore, because we just won't be able to, because we need to be able to pay our employees next year.
It's an unfortunate position to be in, because the community school offers such vital programs, on the island, and you're not allowed to fundraise, which is so frustrating. These are programs that the town, if you will, are taking advantage of on a daily basis, but yet there seems to be an unwillingness to increase the appropriation, which feels like, probably speaking a little out of turn, and I'm trying to choose my words wisely, but nonetheless, it almost feels like you're in a position where you're being forced to start eliminating programs, cut staff, and essentially diminish the community school as we know it, which, what's the point of the community school in the first place if we're not going to be able to meet the needs of the larger community? And I appreciate the position that you're in, and I'm sorry that this is where we are, because the resources are tapped. There are only so many places on the island you can go to for funding. But I think as a school committee, we have to continue to advocate for more funding. And it's frustrating that we are here and there's nothing to be done for this year, but we have to keep going, keep pushing, and continue to show the need for next year at the very least. So,
Thank you.
sorry that you're in that position.
When we dropped the temperature of the pool 1 degree, we had a large number of angry elders that also vote. So, I mean, you could do that.
Put it out there.
Hint, hint, wink, wink.
If I may, the town is aware, select board is aware, Alicia has presented, during the public hearing that the, select board had to, move forward the town budget. We are waiting on, appropriations from the governor's budget to see how that looks. There are, as Alicia shared, there are numerous grant, applications out that she's waiting to hear about. There may be others available, but the most important thing is we can't rely, the community school cannot rely on grant funding. It's not a sure thing. So I do hope that with your support and your advocacy that we can get ahead of this again next year, and continuing for this year as the budget negotiations continue between school and town, to support a little more attention to the community school. It is such an important community organization. It is a lifeline in many ways for the school. We do a lot of things in collaboration with the community school, and we would hate to see those programs dropped. It is so important. And Alicia has some of the most dedicated staff that I have ever known, and the fact that they are as dedicated as they are, and understanding that they may not be able to see financial gains, even cost of living increases is really frustrating. And I understand how she feels, and my heart breaks in general. So I'm just hoping that we can see some movement in the coming weeks and months as we continue to negotiate with the town and hopefully be in a better position in a few months and then certainly next year. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Alicia. Schools and departments, Dr. Buell? And our assistant superintendents.
Okay, good evening. So, as you have received the specific budgets for schools and departments, we have collaborated throughout this budget process with each school and each director of departments to come up with a budget that we can share overall. This is more of the budget story than the specifics. You have the specifics, but we want to explain where we are in our budget planning. So that is the purpose of tonight's presentation. So we have some guiding questions. I think this is you. Thank you.
Good evening, Amanda Bardsley, Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. These are our guiding questions for this presentation. What is our instructional vision? How are we using the NPS instructional vision to guide priorities? And how will we actualize priorities through the budget process? So this is the instructional vision, which we have presented to the school committee before. You'll notice that at the center in the green are our universal design for learning, our sheltered English immersion, and our inclusive instruction. And these are our strategies to support all students. And we want to keep that at the center of all the work that we are doing. You'll also see that we have 5 priority focus areas. And underneath of those are tied to the teacher evaluation rubric. And we have clarifying questions to help support understanding of these areas. Things that we are doing currently around safe learning environment would include responsive classroom, restorative practices, and belongingness. Around objectives, checking for understanding and criteria for success. We have done work around instructional planning, our professional learning communities, math workshop, and SEI. And then around engaging instruction, a lot of our focus has been around applied learning, which we have been focusing on communication and collaboration. And this includes more SEI strategies, our number talks, Socrative and science seminars, and those types of things. Also like to take a moment to note that this our NPS instructional vision is very much aligned with the state's instructional vision. And so this was released in August of '24. And you'll see that in the top right, we have all students are known and valued. And that is very closely aligned to our safe learning environment. We have the learning experiences are relevant, real world, and interactive, which is very much aligned with the student engagement. And then the other pieces fit into the individualized supports that are extended to students to excel at every grade level.
Okay, this slide just outlines the different stakeholders that are responsible for building the budget. So on the first column, it is talking about the school committee and how their job is to allocate the resources, looking to improve student learning and reduce disparities. The next column is the district leadership team, and those are the people that are responsible for the instructional vision. This team is looking at the resources, the scheduling, the programmatic decisions, and the staffing, and they are engaging in the district. This should be based on the district's instructional vision that Mandy just went over. Then the school leadership team is in charge of implementation, and this is the school leaders, and they are implementing evidence-based strategies, promoting real world and interactive learning, and providing individualized supports, which actually aligns directly with what Mandy was talking about when she was talking about applied learning. And then the last column outlines the school and parent group and the advisory councils, and that is the convening councils that work within the schools, and they advocate for historically underserved groups and communities. And this is directly from the DESE standards and indicators.
So, as
Dr. Bardsley shared before, the instructional vision is really what is driving this budget. And so as we have created the vision, we have aligned pieces to it that are directly related to how our budget is going to be implemented. We started in creating this vision in trying to cohesively align and inform the planning of professional learning around instructional strategies, really looking at what happens in the classroom. We are also talking about and continuing to add and refine structures. This means HR structures, procedures that occur throughout the course of a school year, safety and security, a lot of other pieces that come into play with this as well. Number 3, adopting and implementing high-quality instructional materials. This is a big goal of ours, and we have been successful in adopting and implementing in the past several years, and we continue to want to and to push to put into place those high-quality instructional materials. And then our district priorities, which is really what we are seeing based on what we notice across the district, our work with principals and directors together, and understanding where our needs are based on data as well, looking at our data points. The first one is expanding the operating budget. We have focused quite a bit on our personnel side, on our staffing, and our operational side has needed a little bit more assistance based on the fact that we are seeing increases with utilities and infrastructure needs. We are seeing increases for needs in our stabilization fund for special education. And in general, we need to be looking carefully at not overstepping with our operational budget. Currently, our operational budget is approximately 17% of our full budget. You'll see that in the individual budgets that you have. This is low. We really should be at an easier, more equivalent, I wouldn't say equivalent, but more 80% based on staffing and 20% for operational. So we really did need to expand our operating budget to keep our buildings safe, secure, and running appropriately. We also are seeing continued research across the state and the nation around the importance of early childhood education. And we have an excellent pre-K program in place, and we are very excited about the opportunity to expand our pre-K to allow for more access, more ability for both special education pathway students, but also for peers. So that's a big area of priority that we want to enact this year. And we still need to work very hard in supporting and elevating our English learners and our special education students. The needs that they have continue to grow, and we need to make sure that we have all of the supports in place with instruction, with curriculum, with services. And a lot of this is around compliance, which means we must make sure that we are legally in federal and state compliance. So what are the next steps based on the district priorities? For our operating budget, we will increase our appropriate facilities lines to cover the increase in utilities expenses, which is what I shared in the previous slide, as well as the increase to repair and maintain our HVAC systems. Our buildings are older. 3 of them are older. 1 is newer, but there is a constant need for adjustment and making sure that our systems are functioning appropriately. We also need to increase our appropriation for special education lines in order to cover the costs of the outsourced BCBA, SLP, and psychologist positions. BCBA is board certified behavior analyst, so this is a position that works closely with students who have behavioral challenges. SLP is the speech and language pathologist, and school psychologist works closely in diagnosing and working with students who are coming into the special education process. And this will allow us, because we have not been able to cover these positions within our regular school budget, we just have not been able to fill the positions. We have had to outsource them to contracted providers, which can set their own prices. So it is very challenging to find people, and we are in competition also with our other school districts in the area, but also probably across the state. to find these folks and to keep them. So by being able to outsource, we at least are able to cover the obligations, the compliance obligations, but it is expensive. So we've been lucky to be able to find those folks, but it does mean we need to up our operational side. For expanding pre-K, our plan is to move all of our pre-K teaching assistants to full-time. Currently, we have several positions at the pre-K level. In fact, I think most of our positions at the pre-K level are 0.7 or 0.6, 0.8. And so in order to do so, we can allocate $76,000 to move those pre-K TAs forward, and we can do that within the rollover budget. So we are not asking for new positions, but we're able to do it within the rollover budget. For special education and English learners, we really need to look at our enrollment projections and our needs of individual students in special education. So we are currently doing so, looking carefully at our enrollment projections, looking at our English learner proficiency levels, because we know that there is a different levels require different amounts of instruction. And when it comes to special education, the same situation. We're looking carefully at IEP needs, looking at our neediest students and what kind of services they require, and all of this is quite important. We have embarked upon a special education department audit to help us in that process, but we know that there will definitely be some changes needed, either based on the audit or also what we are seeing coming in. So as a district, the total staffing allocation for FY27 will remain the same. We will see this in the next year. So FY27 will be the same. My apologies for the typo, it should be FY27. Our staffing adjustments will be made to follow our district priorities. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to those district priorities and doing what we had said we would around EL and SPED, pre-K extension. And also we need to make sure that we are aligning to the NPS instructional vision, which is what we shared from the beginning. And that the staffing adjustments are guided by enrollment and programmatic needs. So that's it in a nutshell, and we're happy to answer any questions. Martin, is there anything you want to continue to share about some pieces that are still in negotiations?
Yes.
Thanks.
So there is 3 asks basically that still remain unresolved, and bless you. The community school request for $150,000 is essential, as you saw from the presentation. So it's a continued negotiation. We are presenting to the finance committee, I believe, the week of March 2nd. So we'll be going there, continuing to look for ways to fund that gap, because as you see, the budget is not really balanced. It's balanced for presentation purposes tonight, but it is not a really balanced budget if it includes a $53,000 from yet to be determined source to bridge an operating deficit and no increase to the employees. On the school side, we're requesting, we have spoken with town and requested a $75,000 increase to our salaries to account for step and column changes. I believe I presented that as part of the roll forward presentation. The request due date is November 1st. They come in relatively late. We send the roll forward number to the town in September. August, September, we get a request to give the roll forward for the salary. So this is an ask of $75,000 that is still ongoing negotiation with town. And there is an additional $200,000 from free cash. This year, free cash certification was delayed by the Department of Revenue, so we didn't know the exact number and what the availability will be. So we've reached out to town to ask for that. This is to purchase. It's just as an explanation, free cash sources are used for one-time budget increase only. They go away the next year. We intend to use this for purchasing new literacy curriculum throughout for the whole district. So those are the 3 asks, and like I said, it's still an ongoing negotiation. As Superintendent Hallett just mentioned, We are counting on state aid to increase. As you saw from the presentation of town that was delivered by the finance director of the town, Brian Turbit, and town manager, Libby Gibson, they've level funded state aid because they don't know what the amount will be. The governor's budget, which is step 2 in the budget, has an increase of approximately $150,000 right now. It's still going through 3 more levels before it's finalized, so we're hopeful if that increase stays in, maybe we can use some of it. I don't know. So, thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Any questions, Esmeralda?
No questions.
Dr. Lepre?
What are you projecting as student enrollment? Because we're down, what, about 50?
We're actually down further than that. It's more like 80 or 90. We assume that we will see that more or less the same levels we have now, 1,650, more or less, going forward. But a lot of that depends on our incoming kindergarten class and any sort of newcomers that come, both English learners and also from other districts throughout the course of the year. So I would not expect to see a massive increase coming in the coming year. However, it's to be determined. We do need to watch carefully because that will affect our staffing. So.
The 76,000 to go full-time for the TAs, does that include insurance and all? Is that the total number, or is that?
So it is the amount that we would need to move a TA from a 0.7 or a 0.8 position to a 1.0. Those TAs have access, they are considered full-time employees and have access to insurance, so we would not,
Oh,
we wouldn't
okay.
be, if they already have insurance, then
Understood.
it's not an additional increase there, so.
Is that 76,000 per?
Total.
Total, okay,
Yes,
okay.
total.
Okay, gotcha, thank you.
And we can find that within the personnel rollover.
Gotcha, thank you.
Sure.
And then, Dr. Lepre's question just made me think of another question. I'm sure we're collecting information from families as they're moving their students out of the district. What are we seeing as a trend for why?
We're not seeing as much with students exiting the district. We don't have a true, we do request a report when students unenroll, withdrawal. Most of the time it's moving away, but we don't have specifics around the reason for moving away. More than anything, we're just not seeing them coming in. So that's a concern based on the fact that we want to make sure that we have appropriate staff. It's a little concerning. We had our kindergarten registration. It was lower than we expected, so we will see what happens. We did have births for the incoming class at around 150. We did not see that many enrolling for kindergarten, but that does not mean that we will not see more. But most likely it will not be what we had expected or looked at. So that will come into play and we'll understand better what that's going to look like over the coming months.
Thank you. That's it? Awesome.
I have another question out of curiosity. Do you get enrollment numbers from the private schools as well?
We do. They share with us who will be coming in. We have, we connect with them to understand what their enrollment is looking like as well. I have not spoken with them recently, so I don't know if they're seeing enrollment drops as well, or if they're seeing level enrollment or not, but certainly that will come into play. Particularly at the grade points, a lot of students will come in after kindergarten. Some will come in at the 3rd grade level. Some will come in at the fifth grade level and at 8th grade. So we look at those particularly about when they come into our buildings. But we will always accept any and all students coming to the public schools.
Thank you. Thank you. That's it, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Do you want me to give you time to make it to your seat?
Sure. I don't know if there's anything else. I think.
Yeah. All right. So, committee discussions and votes to be taken. Do you want to start with committee discussions?
Vote to approve.
No?
Just move along.
Okay, all right, move it along. All right, vote to approve the donation from Island Lumber to Nantucket High School Wood Shop Program for $1,500.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the high school's overnight field trip to Barnstable for the All Cape Music Festival, February 6th to 7th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote to approve the high school's overnight field trip to the Boston Library and Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, Mass., March 27th to 28th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the Cape Cod 5 educational mini grant to NES ELL teacher Tracy Nichols for $500.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the Cape Cod 5 educational mini grant to NES science teacher Jamie Witherall for $403.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the Cape Cod 5 educational mini grant to NIS teacher Tracy Quidley for $498.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote to approve the Cape Cod 5 educational mini grant to NIS teacher Sarah Dalzell for $499.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the Cape Cod 5 educational mini grant to NIS teacher Kara Felligan. I'm sorry, Felligan, sorry, Kara, for $485.
So moved.
Second. Awesome. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from Mr. and Mrs. Jonathan Brown to Nantucket Community School Learn to Swim program for $500.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the donation from the Nantucket Golf Club Foundation to Nantucket Community School Early Childhood Play Groups and extended hours for ACT Venture Campers for $37,350.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the grant from the Great Harbor Yacht Club to Nantucket Public Schools to use towards the KIBO robotics for harbor science. Young Engineers Protect Our Marine Ecosystem program for $1,600.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Vote to approve the December 16th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I have a question about it. Because I don't think the minutes reflect what your last comment was in terms of an amendment.
If I may, the chair, the clerk and I also reviewed the
As I have.
YouTube. Yes, the YouTube. We did consult the school committee legal counsel, and the school committee legal counsel advised us to, that things were done appropriately. So we have gone through that process. It was reviewed by Attorney Jennifer King. She said that the motion was clear around the moving forward with the amendment, and that it was done appropriately, so.
No, but there were two versions. One was to use essentially one of the employees of the company, and the other one was to get an independent, and it was the independent one that passed, I think. And I don't know if that's referred to in that, when I looked.
Why don't we hold the December 16th meeting minutes and then vote to approve the January 20th, 2026 meeting minutes, and we'll revisit the December 16th, 2025 meeting minutes. How's that? Okay. Okay, so vote to approve the January 20th, 2026 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote to approve the transfers and invoices.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. So now we go into subcommittee
Yes.
/ work group report.
We did have a, we had a policy subcommittee meeting just yesterday. We had some high school juniors that came to us to share their wish to move to a different grade point average. You would, yes? Oh, wonderful.
Okay.
So we will have them
Good.
present at the next meeting, so.
That's great.
Great. We will bring them in on March 10th to share their findings and explain what the subcommittee, how the subcommittee felt about that.
Look
I'll let
forward
you
to
do
that.
the others.
We had our negotiations meeting today. We've been meeting regularly, and it is moving along. And we also had our net meeting. Oh my gosh, we've been meeting a lot today. Our net meeting, and we're working on our, as we call it, bus stop project, and that's moving along as well. Esmeralda?
I am meeting with the Cape Cod Collaborative tomorrow,
Great.
so I'll have an update for the next meeting.
Thank you.
If I may, I want to share with the committee that the school, not the school committee, but the school will be offering a public information session around the Vito Capizzo Stadium renovation project, open to the public on Thursday, February 19th at 6 p.m. in the LGI. There will be notices that will be sent out to the media, to families. We feel that there is information that is not getting out appropriately, and we want to make sure that that everyone who wants to can come and learn about the project. And so we will have our designers here to explain, and it will be an information session. It is not a school committee meeting. There will be a possibility for Q&A at the end, but it is a presentation. So if you would like to attend or share, we'll have information sent out shortly.
Thank you.
Agenda for the next one? You want me
Yes,
to-
please.
that? Okay. On March 3rd, we will not have a budget meeting. Yes, excuse me, we will have a budget meeting on March 3rd. A lot of dates flying
I know.
around these days. So that will be our public hearing, and it will start at 6 p.m. And usually it goes about half an hour, 45 minutes, based on the questions that may be expected from the public. On March 10th, we will have, we will look at student enrollment again. We'll do the mid-year update for the District Improvement Plan, Action Plan, Year 3. NES and NIS will present on parent volunteer initiatives happening in their schools. We will go over briefly the school committee self-evaluation process so that we are prepared for doing that self-evaluation, and I hope to have a mid-year retreat like we usually do in March, either between the two meetings in March or at the end, so that we can go through the self-evaluation process in more detail. And then we will vote to approve the FY27 budget. So, and that's it.
Great. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
500 teachers looking for a job. But I mean, you could poach them on. Well, I mean,
My husband made dinner. Mine was cooking, so I'm surprised I don't smell like he's doing steaks on the grill on our